How you doing? How you doing? It is the Chris the Method Man podcast. As you can see, this is my logo, my new logo, Chris the Method Man. How you doing? How you doing? It's Chris the Method Man. I am your handsome host. I'm grateful to have you here on the pod today. The Chris the Method Man podcast is a podcast that can't be copied nor duplicated. I am Chris the Method Man, the one and only. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the Southern University preview of the 2023 football season. As you know, guys, the quarterback of Southern University 22 season was Bashan McCray. During that season, Bashan McCray had 30 touchdowns. That was pretty good. But at the same time, Bashan McCray struggled at times, even with the Jackson State game, right? I think that game was about 30 nothing, 38 nothing. It was a shutout. In my opinion, when Bashan McCray was struggling, we should have taken him out. Not during the third quarter of the game, right? The first time that we saw him struggle, we should have taken him out. Because during that time, I know I'm going back, I know that's a year ago, but Harold Blood and what's his name? Oh my goodness. What's his name, guys? Bubba Glendon McDaniel should have been playing. No offense to Bashan, but Bubba should have been the starter during that season, 2022 season. Because I felt like during that season our defense was carrying us. Not to say the offense wasn't, but the quarterback was struggling and stuff. But the season didn't end up the way that we wanted it to. But we can all leave that in the past. But one other thing I want to say. I felt like, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, guys. We should have never lost to Texas Southern. Texas Southern put 24 points on us, and we should have blown them out the water, out the sea. Texas Southern should have never won that game. And I was reading Swag Media Day. It was with Texas Southern quarterback Andrew Body. He was saying, we're taking over the SWAC. We want revenge. That's not happening. And I'm going to tell you why that's not happening. Because Southern, we have an opportunity to take over the SWAC. Jackson State, Florida A&M, Alabama State, and Alcorn. Texas Southern's not taking over. They're not. That's not going to happen. That's not happening. I'm sorry, but Texas Southern, I predict that Texas Southern will go 5-6. But they're going to lose to Southern. A beatdown. But yeah, guys, for 2023, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see the young man play again, the young buck, Kendrick Grimes. Kendrick Grimes last season balled out for Southern University at running back. He balled out. And I can't wait to see him play. And also, the guy that I can't wait to see play is Kobe Dillon. Because when Kobe is healthy, he produces. When J.J. Sims is healthy, he produces. But with Kobe Dillon had 3 touchdowns versus UAPB 2 years ago. And it was back-to-back. And he's going to be a diamond in the rough pick for Southern University. He'll be the glue for Southern University this season on the offense. He'll be the glue. But also, what's his name? Harold Blood. Harold Blood has been spoken highly of by Coach Dooley. Now, I know that I already did this video, but it's like a part two. I can't wait to see him play because I feel like that Harold Blood has the opportunity to distance himself from the other SWAC conferences, right? Right, they got FAMU, they got Texas Southern, they have FAMU, Jackson State. So, but I feel as though Harold Blood has the opportunity to write a legacy for himself, right? Be like he can. I'm sorry, I'm jumbling my words, but he can create a legacy for himself during these 2 seasons that he's at Southern. He can break records, right? He can stand amongst some greats like Bryant Lee, Dre Joseph, who else? TR, Quincy Ricard, and there was another guy, guys, and the great Austin Howard. He has this season to write a legacy for himself, and the world is in his oyster. He has the opportunity, and I know he's going to do well. But also, what stands out for me, what's going to help us win the SWAC championship? Yes, Harold Blood's consistent, good quarterback play. During last season, he had 11 out of 19 completions and 60% passing yards. So that's pretty good, saying that he didn't play as much. But yeah, that's pretty good. That's solid. But also good run game, but also good protection. And good protection will help us this season, right? So there's been some seniors that have been missing, like Dallas Black. Dallas Black graduated already. He's not there. But there's a young man, a guy that's my age, number 70, number 70. He's probably a junior or senior now. But he's going to make an impact for. I know 2 old linemen. I've taken classes with them, but the good offensive line play is going to be pretty good for us. Another thing, I know it's kind of long, guy, but another thing that's going to be a big impact for us making the SWAC is good defensive play, good solid defensive play. We have Jordan Carter, right? Jordan Carter was big for us last season. Ty Judson. 2 seasons ago, Ty Judson is solid as well. Big corner. He's about 6'1", 6'2". Pretty good size, 200 pounds. Jordan Carter is about 5'11", 190, 195. But those, and Rose, the linebacker Rose is going to be pretty good. Jalen Campbell had at least 80 tackles, 5 sacks, and like 14 not 14 forced fumbles, something else, 14 something out of that, guys. But Jalen Campbell, good linebacking, good defensive play from Jalen Campbell, Rev from Liberty, all those guys, right, on the defense that this season. That's going to help us win the SWAC. The offense has to do their job. Blood has to be consistent. And we have to have great defensive play. That's going to help us defeat Jackson State and really come together and take us to the Celebration Bowl, take us to the SWAC championship. But I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna show y'all this video, man. That's my take. And I know it was kind of a little rusty, man. I'm gonna do better. But I'm gonna show y'all this video. It's gonna talk about like SWAC preview and everybody else. Like, comment, subscribe on the pod today. The Chris the Method Man podcast is a podcast that cannot be copied nor duplicated. I am Chris the Method Man, the one and only.
Okay, let's round out the show with the last topic, but certainly not the least topic, because we talk a lot about LSU football and the Saints, two teams that have big expectations this season, two very talented football teams. This is another one. Let's talk Jaguars football with WAFB Zone, Kevin Batiste. Kevin, welcome. Be sure to follow him on the social medias. Info is down below. Kevin's been following this Southern team for a couple of years.
No, I never knew they had
last
like
season was really
podcasts.
impressive. 7-5, cool. Year one for Eric Dooley, perhaps better than some people expected. What can they do to be even better?
Johnny, it all comes down to the quarterback. I mean, that was the real Achilles heel for Southern last year. I mean, they ran the ball like they usually do. They had a good crop of receivers. Their defense was at the top of the SWAC, well, top half of the SWAC, top 10 in the FCS. Down to who is the QB1. Deshaun McCray, he was subpar. Can Harold Blood be that guy that they've been lacking since 2017? And so far, he's been showing that on camp. He's been having good command of the offense. Podcast. He's been getting the timing down with wide receivers. He has a good bond with his receivers and his offensive line. And that's really all that comes down to.
Blood got a little bit of time last year. I think he played 6 games last season. So he got a little bit of experience, but now you're looking for him to step up from kind of a rotational guy, a guy that sees a little bit of the field, to being the guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, those 6 games, I mean, it was pretty much garbage time. I mean, they won games against Florida Memorial, and it was up by like 60.
It was 80-0.
Yeah, it was up by like 60, 80 points. The other time was Virginia Lynchburg. He came in serious time in the SWAC championship,
okay,
but Dooley kind of had that little mismanaged. But now, like I said, it is all him. And one thing that I learned when talking to these guys for our special is a new wide receiver, Jalen Howard, comes in from Prairie View. He calls Blood a dog. He calls him a dog. He says he likes how after practice, he's in the weight room at 10 p.m. watching film. He wants to know the exact timing, the speed, how these receivers get down pat. So far, they're believing in number 9 right now.
And for those who don't know, being called a dog is a good thing. Mm-hmm. That's something you want to have, especially your teammates and teammates on the offensive side of the ball talk to you about. I'm glad you mentioned offense, though, because I found something pretty interesting when doing a little bit of research on this team from last year. It seems like in the games they lost, the offense they produced. So in games where they failed to score 25 or more points, they were 1-4. Do the math, they finished 7-5.
I had to pause that, guys. That is exactly right. That's exactly right. That was because of poor quarterback play. Rashawn McCray, he showed that he could run. He showed that, he has some sparks. He showed some promise. But at the end all be all, when the big games came, right? During the SWAC championship, he struggled. During the earlier part of the season, right? When Jackson State whooped us, he struggled. When Rashawn McCray started struggling, Rashawn McCray should not have been starting. He shouldn't have been. Bubba should have been playing. That's what we really struggled on last season, was quarterback play. Our defense was solid. Our defense had Jordan Lewis, Trey Lang, Dumas, Jalen Campbell. our defense really took us to the championship, in my opinion. So let's get back at it.
5, that means they were 6-1 in games where they did score 25 points or more. What gives with that?
I think it all just comes down to mental toughness. I mean, one thing I've learned about Southern, not just last year, but in years past, they don't know how to come back when they get down. You know, in the past, they were like a real running team. Now they're trying to become this pass-heavy team. Once they get down double digits, it's like motion starts sinking, the camaraderie gets down. I think it all just comes down to mental toughness and being able to sustain that for 60 minutes.
Interesting. And you think the offense will be more prolific than last year, the guys they got right now? If I put you on the spot here.
I think so. One thing that head coach Eric Dooley says is, they're going to become more balanced. I feel like that down the line last year, once they realized that Bashawn McCray had his struggles, they just had to be real conservative, run the football, not really take many shots downfield. And when they did take their shots, they didn't connect. So I think you're going to see a real more balanced offense from.
Oh yeah, another guy. Another guy that is going to be a key for Southern this season is on defense, right? I think he's a defensive back or safety, number 4. He was at Southern before, but he transferred to JUCO. When he was at a JUCO, he balled out at the JUCO. Now he's back at Southern. He's going to be one of the keys to Southern as well. He's a hard hitter too.
Cheer. And one thing about Blood, he does have a cannon.
Okay.
He can sling it.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And Dooley's an offensive coach too, right? He had prolific offenses at Prairie View A&M, which is where he was before. Those running backs too. They had a couple of young running backs last year. I think you've already done a story on those running backs. Tell me about that room a little bit.
Well, they lost 2. They lost 2 guys in J.J. Sims and Carl Ligon, 2 of the top 5 rushers from last year.
That hurts.
But they reloaded pretty fast at that position because they bring back a guy in Kendrick Grimes who kind of had a little breakout as a freshman last year, especially in that UAPB game where he scored 3 touchdowns.
Kendrick Grimes.
Bring back Kobe Dillon.
Young buck.
Now, Kobe Dillon in high school, he was a quarterback. But in the offseason of 2021, right before the fall season, he was a scout team quarterback.
You can play, to be honest, with Kobe Dillon. Kobe Dillon, you can play Kobe at any position, right? You play quarterback at Faraday High School. You also play wide receiver. You also play running back. You can put Kobe at anything. He's an athlete. He's not really a running back. He's basically a Taysom Hill, right? He can go anywhere on the field, like Braylon Morgan. He's an athlete. So if it was a wildcat situation, you can put Kobe there because he actually had some expertise at quarterback. Or if all else fails, God forbid, Kobe Dillon. If Kobe Dillon had to be quarterback, you can put him in my opinion.
He wanted to get on the field, so he said, "Hey," he told the then head coach, "I'll play running back." And he just so happens later in that season break the single game rushing record at Southern for rushing.
No kidding.
Yeah,
that's quite a story.
267 yards against UAPB. So, and then
actually
he
was
towards
300 yards.
Suffered a severe knee injury last year. So now he's looking real fresh, real spry in camp. He says he feel like he's back to 100%. So look for him to have a big year. And then they bring in a transfer from Alabama A&M and Gary Qualls, a former first-team SWAC All-Member. We talked to him at practice a few days ago. He says he can do it all. He can catch out the backfield. He can get between the tackles. He can block. He can return kicks. So I have no little worries about.
Kind of reminds me of an Alvin Kamara if he can do all of those things.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Coming up soon, the opener on September 2nd at 5 o'clock against Alabama State. And your special is coming up this weekend on Saturday, I believe. So what can we expect from that?
We can expect some fun. I'll tell you that. One thing about a Southern Special is football. We include the fans, we include the band, we include just the overall culture of the HBCUs. But as far as on the field, we're going to give you an in-depth look at the team, what they're working with, talk about more of that motto.
I'm not gonna lie, the broadcast kind of looks like blood a little bit.
Good to great, which I'm rocking right here on these wristbands, which is a little deeper story than just football. So yeah, but I'm gonna keep that under wraps right now. We're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna feature one of the players. His name is Rubens Beauplan. His story, he's a punter, but his story as far as coming to Baton Rouge, it's a little deeper than that. And we're also gonna talk about
Rubens Beauplan. Rubens Beauplan was at Alcorn State. He graduated from the Southern University. Shout out to my boy Rubens. He also has uh, he also has a brand. I think it's called Golden Kick or something. So check that out. That's pretty good stuff as well.
the Bayou Classic. It makes 50 years this season. Of course, a lot of long history, a lot of stories, a lot of families are involved in this rivalry. It's gonna be a good time.
A game that Southern won last year in the Bayou Classic. At what time on Saturday is it airing?
6:30 on WASB.
Southern won 34-13.
There you go.
Last Bayou
got
Classic.
No plans. These should be your plans. Tune in for Kevin's Southern football special. Last year, a 7-5 season for Eric Dooley and company, a SWAC championship game appearance. Lost to Jackson State, but Deion Sanders is gone, so maybe good to great. Be a great season for Southern this year.
Yeah, man. Coach Brown, hope you have fun out there in Colorado. I think he takes his lumps his first year. That's another topic for another day.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm sure we'll get into that. Well, Kevin, thanks for joining us. We're looking forward to the season, and we'll have you back on soon.
Yeah.
So,
yes, sir.
All right. That wraps up.
All right, y'all. Y'all stay blessed. Have a good night, man. And I'm grateful for y'all, man, and doing the podcast. God bless. Y'all later. Oh,